So in my previous video, I shared with you 3 things you should do if you are successful in a job interview, and that will make you successful on your next job. However, what if you are the person who received a letter of regret? You are the person who was unsuccessful in the job interview. How do you deal with that situation? You're all angry, you are cursing the recruiter, the interviewer, the company, and so on. So there are a lot of negative emotions right now which are dominating you. In this video, I will share with you 3 things you could do to turn those negative emotions into a positive action plan. My name is Jameel Hai, and I've been working in the corporate sector for the last 17 years, and my passion is to help you build real life skills for your job and career that they don't teach you in college. So let's turn this negative energy into a positive action plan. So the first tip is recognize your emotional change cycle and go through it quickly. You see, in your mind, you gave the best shot to this job. This was your best attempt. So the fact that you have not gotten this job or you have been unsuccessful in that interview means that it's a change for you. Psychologically, this has triggered the typical human reaction to change in your brain, because that's how human beings respond to change. So you are all human as well, so it's very natural to go through all these emotions. But recognize that this is a cycle. Now, I've covered the human response to change in another video, and you should be able to find a link somewhere here on the screen. However, just to quickly recap, human response to change always starts with shock. Then you move to denial, then you move to anger, then you are uncertain, you don't know what to do. And then finally you begin acceptance and you eventually move to planning and action. And the reason why it's so important to recognize this while you're going through all these emotions is that you know that you are in the middle of a cycle. You know that yes, I will be shocked, I will be in denial mode, I'll be in anger mode, and so on. And eventually I need to get out of this, right? So just the recognition of the fact that you are in the middle of this cycle will help you recover from it quickly. So the second tip is try to get objective and subjective feedback. Some companies are really good at this, and they will give you a very specific feedback on what went wrong or what went well in your interview, but others are not. But you should really try to make sure that you are reaching out to the recruiter or to the interviewer or whoever is your contact in the process to get as much feedback as you can, and try to get both objective and subjective feedback. What do I mean by that? Objective feedback is based on hard facts. So things like, maybe you are not competent enough for the job, or maybe your skill set was not at par with what this company is looking for, or you were really good, but then there was another candidate who was stronger than you. Those kind of things, right? And subjective feedback is maybe there was somebody on that interview panel who just felt that you are not the right fit for this company or for this job, right? So try to understand that as well, because that subjective feedback is based on somebody's feelings and emotions. But it's important for you to understand that because maybe you said something in that interview that did not come across very well. So it's important for you to know that, because that will really help you to prepare yourself better for your next interview or for your next job application. Remember, feedback is a gift. So if you can get it, it is really going to help you. So the third and the final tip is re-energize. Remember, failure is a part of the success process. It's very natural to feel dejected and completely lose motivation after multiple failed attempts. But remember, success is a process, it's not an event, and failure is a part of that process. So the worst thing you could do to yourself is just lose your motivation and stop applying for jobs and start binge watching on Netflix, right? And that's the worst thing, because you are quitting from that process, which is eventually going to make you successful. I'm an engineer and I've worked for manufacturing companies for most of my life. And one of the processes that they teach in manufacturing is called plan, do, check, act. Right? So you plan, you do, you check, you act. And if I were to apply the same concept to the job hunting process, it's very similar. It's very similar. You plan, you talk to people, you prepare for an interview, and then you attempt. As you attempt, you may be successful, but you may fail. And remember, this failure is a part of the process. So as you fail, you take learnings from that, you improve, you think about, okay, what you have done wrong based on my previous tip, and then you apply again. And you keep doing this until you are successful. And if you don't want to take my word for this, guys, I want to share with you 3 examples from very successful people, but their success came at the expense of a lot of failures. So one example is of Sir James Dyson, the founder of the famous Dyson vacuum cleaners. And before he made the best-selling vacuum cleaner in the world, he had to go through 5,126 failed attempts, and this took him 15 years to do that. So while we see Dyson as this fancy company which is super successful, but that success came after a lot of failures. Another example is Colonel Sanders. I love KFC, by the way. Colonel Sanders started KFC at the age of 62 years. And that was after 11 years of failed attempts to pressure fry chicken in a fast manner. So before you have the next bite of that finger-licking chicken, remember that that amazing brand was created after a lot of failures. And finally, Thomas Edison, who went through 10,000 failures before producing the first commercially successful light bulb. So I hope these examples are motivating enough for you after an unsuccessful job interview experience and you are re-energized for your next attempt. Keep watching, subscribe, learn, and apply these soft skills to your job and career. Good luck.